Hi there. Welcome to Kevin Nice Music. We hope you enjoy the video. Let me remind you to please be respectful in the comments. We're glad you're here and hope you find the content here both informative and entertaining. Now, let's get on with the video.
Happy Friday, people. I just wanted to get on here this morning and make a video. A couple of people had actually asked me about doing this, and I was planning on doing it anyway. I just wanted to do an update on Kiely Rodni. I do have some new information, but it's not yet been confirmed. And so I'm a little gun shy now after getting bit with that one. I don't want to have to come out and say, oh no, I gave you a bunch of misinformation again. So I wanted to make sure that everything I say is accurate, everything that I say is confirmed. There may be some conjecture as far as, some ideas as to what has happened, like we've done before, but I'll make sure that, just let you know that that's my opinion and not based on really any fact. But I think it's important that, like somebody said to me, and I totally agree, I think it's important to keep Kiely in everybody's memory. Some people are still doing that, and we appreciate it. And, itch. But I think that's important that we do. You know what? I need to take talking lessons, man. I tell you what, yeah, I'm tired. It's early. It's 6:00 now. I've been up since 3. Woke up and couldn't go back to sleep, so I just got up and started doing things and getting busy. Or not that busy, work busy. So yeah. So anyway, and now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Where was I now? Oh, I just think it's important that we keep Kiely's name out there because, it's kind of faded away. And honestly, I wish I could do more videos on her, but I don't really have anything new until I can get some things confirmed. I can tell you that a lot of the new information that I have, or at least part of it, has to do with the helicopter flights when Kiely was missing and they were searching for her. There's some things that happen with that make all of us wonder what's really going on, why they did what they did. And I will say it has something to do with Hobart Mills. So it appears that Hobart Mills may play a part in this. As to what happened there, it's still very much conjecture, very much a guessing game. We don't really know what went on. We have some theories, but the one question that I want to answer is, why did they cover this up? There has to be a motive for them covering it up. There has to be a motive for what they did, like with Nick's video footage. I truly believe that they knew where Kiely was all the time. I don't see how they could not. Since her car was submerged in water the depth of a swimming pool, and the water is very clear there, unless it's been disturbed. But being able to see it from the air, in fact, in some video footage that we've seen on YouTube, you could see it from the air. You could look down on the footage and see right where it was. So that tells me that they didn't want to find it or didn't want anybody else to find it. I also believe that Lindsay knew where it was the whole time. Now, that's kind of the first point that I want to look at, is people's reaction when Kiely went missing. How did they react? Well, they were very much pushing the abduction scenario. Now, let's think about this for a minute. Here she goes to a party. And by the way, we still haven't seen any evidence she was at that party other than people saying that they were there, and there were some people that said that Lindsay supplied the alcohol for the party, and that's why it was in Kiely's car. That's why Sammy kept saying they were going back to her car and getting alcohol. So she probably was there. Her phone pinged there at 12:30 or 12:33, whatever time it was. And so she probably was there. So she's there with friends. She's there. Hang on, let me get a little further from the mic because I'm just looking here and it's up in the red, and I apologize if I'm blowing your eardrums out. I've got the settings different. I used to have to get right up to this thing for it to pick me up. So let me adjust my camera a little bit. Okay. So she was at the party, or at least she was at Prosser, or at least her phone was at Prosser. So we know she was there, or we assume she was there. She's there with friends. I don't believe that put it this way, if the autopsy was hers, she was definitely not drunk. It doesn't appear that there was enough drugs in her system where she would be like out of her mind and driving into the lake. She was in the back of her vehicle when they found her, which, it's like Nick said, it looks suspicious. So she's there, and she's with friends, and then it doesn't seem feasible. And by the way, Sammy's story of older guys being there, what I was told by locals over there who talked to kids is that the mass exodus from Prosser, from the party there at Prosser, was not because of her and Sammy getting into a fight and something happening to her, but then everybody scattered. According to several different kids who have told the same story, according to them, the mass exodus was because there was a party at Boca that they were heading out and going to. They were breaking up the party there at Prosser. They were loading everything up. They were heading to Boca. Now, what I was told by locals that live over there is that Boca is the party place. If you want to go to the best parties around, you go to Boca. And, of course, at Boca, there is going to be a mix of age groups that are there at the party. And so that's what, and plus, too, the fact that Kiely was seen the next morning at Boca. So to me, that makes the most sense, and it corresponds with what the kids said, is that they were at Prosser, and then they heard about, let's go to Boca and join the party there, because there's a party every weekend there. That's what I've been told by the locals, that Boca is the party place, right? I mean, that's the wild parties, if you want to call them that. It's the party place. It's where everybody goes. So, excuse me. So everybody goes to Boca. So they left Prosser, went to Boca. All right, so is there the possibility that there was somebody there who could have abducted Kiely? Absolutely. There's always a possibility. But the very fact that she was seen the next morning by Nick, the service driver, with a guy who, they said it definitely was not Jagger. Well, somebody said that. Actually, Nick said he didn't know. But yet Doug Bishop said, well, told somebody that told the source that I'm not all that sure if I believe the source, but the source said that Doug Bishop told him that Nick positively identified a picture of Jagger. Nick, when he talked to Squirrel Girl, said that he didn't know. He said he didn't know if it was Jagger, but he wasn't looking directly at the picture. When Doug showed him the picture of Jagger, which I'm wondering why did Doug have a picture of Jagger on his phone? Or I guess maybe he just showed him from a website or something. Who knows? But Doug said that he showed Nick a picture of Jagger, and he positively identified the guy as being a Jagger. Well, look at the description. Okay, and just because Jagger's phone said he was with his dad doesn't mean that he was. Also, law enforcement hasn't been exactly truthful with this whole thing. So the cops are saying, well, no, we checked Jagger's phone, and yeah, he was with his dad. Okay, well, how do we believe that? They've lied about everything else. They botched the whole investigation, obviously on purpose. So the story about, well, Jagger was with his dad, how do we believe that? I mean, how can we confirm that what they're saying is true? Also, on one of the news broadcasts, Jagger stated he was at the party. And then he later changed the story. So, do we know it wasn't Jagger with Kiely that morning? No, we don't. Nick said it was, originally. He looked at, when Doug showed him the picture, he said, yeah, that's Jagger. And he goes, yes, that's him, that's the guy. Well, the description matches Jagger. You know, and people say, well, you know, he was talking about the hair. The hair didn't match. You got to remember, Nick was doing this a couple of weeks after the fact. Right? And you know good and well, your memory isn't always right. I can't tell you how many times I've met somebody and then like I saw them, you know, quite a time later, and it's like, oh, they look a little different than I remember them. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. This wasn't like right afterward where Nick is like, oh yeah, that's, you know, this is 2 weeks later. Okay, this was like on, you figure Kiely went missing on August 5th, and this was probably August 19th or 20th when Nick was talking to AWP, because they found Kiely on the 21st. Okay, so this is 2 weeks later, and he had one encounter, and he said he really wasn't paying that much attention to the guy. He was kind of just watching Kiely because Kiely was acting weird. Now, he was 100% sure that it was Kiely that he saw at Boca that next morning. So the reason I've said all this is just is to lay the groundwork for what I'm saying next. Everybody was pushing the abduction scenario. All right. Sammy was saying, oh, she could be on the other side of the world by now. You know. Yeah, and another thing that was kind of interesting too, and I should have gotten the clip for it, but I didn't. But if you watch that interview that she did with Tony Dodgeball, she makes a statement, oh, this is where she was found. No, it's closer to here. She was found here. Very, very strange statement. It's like, did she know where Kiely was? Because from that statement, it sure makes it seem like she had a slip-up, Sammy slip-up, and said where she knew where Kiely was. And she probably did, as did everybody else. I believe Lindsay knew. But, okay, so they're pushing this abduction scenario. Lindsay gets on TV, and oh, please, but never shed one tear. That's another thing, too, that's a red flag to me, big time. Never did she shed a tear. It was crocodile tears. Well, she couldn't even do crocodile tears. It was totally dry-eyed. Everything she said was dry-eyed. She never cried. But she's acting all like, you know, just acting job. Please bring her back if you ever. Please come home. Please, you know. Yeah. You knew where she was the whole time, Lindsay. Yeah, you did. And let me tell you why. Here's how I know that she knew where Kiely was. Because when she heard that AWP was coming to look for Kiely, look at her reaction. How would she react if she truly believed that Kiely had been abducted, like she'd been claiming? I mean, they were pushing it hard, everybody. Everybody was pushing the abduction scenario. The cops weren't at first, but even then, they started getting in on it too, and pushing the abduction scenario. But Lindsay was really pushing it. Sammy was pushing it. The kids were pushing it. Oh, we really believe that she was abducted. We really believe that she was taken by somebody. So, that's the case. Why, Lindsay, did you get so upset when you heard AWP was coming? If you really believed the scenario that you were pushing, if you really believed that Kiely had been abducted, would you have reacted like that towards AWP? Hell no. Your actions betray your words. Never, and here's rule number 1, people. Never listen to a person's words. Listen to their actions. Look, we can say whatever we want. You know, we can be fake as hell and just say whatever we want and make up whatever we want. But the truth will always be revealed in the actions. And how did she react? Oh, the disparaging things that she started posting about AWP. They were glory hounds. They were terrible people, and she didn't want a spectacle being made of Kiely, which I can understand that. Okay, I can sympathize with that. If you've got a dead child, you're probably going to resent them coming in trying to make money off of your kid, putting everything all over YouTube. So I can fully understand that. I can sympathize with that. But here's the thing. If she really believed in the abduction scenario that she was pushing and been pushing hard, if she really believed that, she would not have been mad at AWP. It would have been like, AWP's coming. It's like, oh, well, that's not going to do any good. She was abducted. Yeah. That's exactly how you would react. And so what her reaction tells you everything that you need to know. Yeah, oh, and here's another thing. She had set up that GoFundMe. Okay. Now, you tell me this wasn't just a money grab. From what I understand, she owed $150,000 on the lodge. They had put it up for sale. Well, I don't know if they had at this point. Yeah, I think they had already. It's been so long that the time frames are a little fuzzy, but they ended up putting it up for sale. But from what I understand, she owed $150,000 on the lodge. Now, that's not confirmed. That's what some people found out, but I have not totally confirmed it. But I believe it's true, though. It makes sense. So, who was it that set up the GoFundMe? It's Annie Kirate, her real estate agent. $150,000 on the lodge we owe. My real estate agent sets this up. Okay, so they set it up. Okay, Kiely was seen on August 6th at Boca that morning. August 7th, around noon, was when the GoFundMe was set up. They hadn't even, wasn't even gone for 24 hours, and they already had a GoFundMe going. That in itself is suspicious. Oh, reward. Well, see, that's another thing, too. If you're setting up a reward, that's implying you think she was abducted, or at least trying to present the illusion that she was abducted, right? But obviously by her reaction, by Lindsay's reaction, she did not believe that. She knew where Kiely was. I fully believe that 100%. So they set up this GoFundMe for $5,000 for reward. Bring Kiely home. By 7 that evening, okay, they set it up at noon, 5,000. They didn't even give it a full day, not even half a day. By 7 o'clock that evening, less than 8 hours later, they'd raised it to 10,000, the goal to 10,000. And then the goal went to 15, 25, and eventually it just kept climbing up and up and up and up. And the goal went up to 150,000. The exact amount that she supposedly owes on the lodge. Imagine that. That doesn't come across as suspicious to anybody? It faux show does to me. So, but it had reached where it had reached. Well, I can't remember what it was. There was something 75,000 in there somewhere. But they had raised the goal to 150,000. They had raised 63,000, which she got her grubby paws on and shouldn't have. She got it through fraud. It wasn't what the money was for. It wasn't for her. It was reward money that she still owes to AWP. As much as I even hate AWP to get it, because I just think that they were skunks. And nobody's going to change my mind on that, so no sense making comments saying, I'm never trying to defend them. Puh. I spit on that. So I'm not going to do you any good to come and try to convince me, because you're not going to change my mind on that at all. They forsook her for money. Anyway, where was I? So we got the 150,000. She heard that AWP was coming. Now, here's the logical way to think about this. If she believed in the abduction scenario like she'd been pushing, AWP coming to look for her would have had no relevance, period. She'd have been like, oh, they're coming? Well, Kiely was abducted, so it's like they're not going to do any good. And she wouldn't have been mad. She wouldn't have started writing crap about him and talking crap about him. Right? Seriously, if she believed in the abduction scenario, she wouldn't have cared. Your actions betray your words, Lindsay. So what was she upset about? Oh, she knew where Kiely was. She knew that AWP was going to find her. And as a result, she knew that GoFundMe was never going to reach $150,000. She knew. That's why she was so upset. It was a money thing. That's why she was so upset, because crap, they're going to come, they're going to find her, and the GoFundMe is never going to get up to the level that we want it to. You got it. That's exactly right. That's the only thing that makes sense. Think about it. If she really believed in the abduction scenario, AWP coming wouldn't have bothered her a bit. So, she was abducted. She's in Mexico or across the country somewhere, or in another country somewhere. So AWP coming, She was abducted. So, them coming has this waste of time. Oh, no, no, no. That was not her reaction. Her reaction was, oh, they're going to find her. I'm not going to get the full amount to pay off the lodge. Yep, I've been told by other people too that they were under other very severe financial stress. Yep. I don't want to think that she sacrificed her daughter for money, but again, you've got to think that that's a possibility. I'm not accusing her of anything, but it's definitely a possibility. Her reaction to AWP really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Sure does. I really believe that she knew where Kiely was and that she was upset about AWP coming because she wasn't going to get her money. And boy, did she fight for what she did get. We even did a petition through change.org. We did a petition to try to force GoFundMe to give the money to what it was originally intended, and that was as reward money, which was later changed fraudulently to support for the Kiely Rodni family. And then was later changed again, and Kiely's name was taken completely out of it. And GoFundMe can kiss my butt for letting her get away with that. That's fraud, people. She committed a crime, and GoFundMe let her get away with it. She should be in jail for several things: child endangerment, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, for fraud. Yeah. It irritates the crap out of me that she got away with everything so far. But it ain't over yet. Okay, the next suspicious thing that we need to talk about is how law enforcement handled this. Now, hang on just a second. I gotta adjust things here. Okay. The original report was taken, since Lost Trail Lodge is in Placer County. The initial report, or the missing person report, was taken by them, by Placer County. So they were the original agency involved in this, because at that particular time it was just a missing person. And then later, Nevada County got involved once they found Kiely's vehicle, because Prosser Reservoir is in Nevada County. So that's how both agencies got involved in this. So the initial report was taken on Saturday the 6th, August 6th, around 5 p.m., as I understand. So then they started searching for her. They started sending, in their press conference, they were talking about the fact that they were searching the roads, which, would be the first thing that you would check to see if her vehicle had broken down somewhere or whatever, or she'd gone into the woods somewhere. And so that in itself is fine. I don't have a problem with that. And then they also did searches via helicopters, which there's some really, really weird stuff that went on with the helicopter search that I really can't talk about right now. Not because, it's top secret or anything. It's just that it hasn't been totally been confirmed what we had heard from other individuals. So they did search for her. Now, the red flags in this, though, were when they actually had other teams that had volunteered to come help search for her. And when they were enlisting the help of Alameda County, their search and rescue, out on the water, they told them to only search no further out than 25 feet and to only look for her phone. Now, that in itself seems just stupid. Why don't look for the vehicle, don't look for her, just look for her phone. Yeah, how does that make any sense? It doesn't to me at all. But they told them don't search any further than 25 feet. Now, if they actually were looking for the phone, then that would make sense to tell them don't search any further than 25 feet out, because if the phone was like tossed, thrown into the water, that's probably, it wouldn't be any further out than that, than 25 feet. So I guess that if you really think about it, it does make sense. But to me, common sense should dictate, if her phone pinged at that location and you're looking for her phone at that location, isn't there also the possibility that she is in the water? That her vehicle might be in the water and not just her phone? That would be the first thing I'd think of. I'd be searching that water. Now, they claimed that their dive team searched that whole area, that they did a grid. Now, there is the possibility that when they were doing these searches, her vehicle was elsewhere, and she was elsewhere, either alive or deceased, and that later the vehicle was placed in the water right before AWP found it. There's always that possibility. However, if you go on YouTube and look at the helicopter flights or the hot air balloons or whatever footage that they have, you can see her vehicle in the water. Now, I don't know exactly what days that footage was taken on, but if her vehicle was in the water right after, it couldn't have gone in the water any earlier than probably the evening of August 6th, that Saturday, because she was seen alive on August 6th that morning at Boca, at least according to Nick. And he said he was 100% certain that it was her. So I'm going to take him at his word, because he doesn't have any reason to lie. And people want to disparage him, go ahead, tell me his motive. Telling me his motive for lying. It ain't because he wanted any fame and fortune. He's wanted to stay out of the spotlight. It took some real convincing to get him to talk to Squirrel Girl. Okay, he wasn't looking to make a name for himself. I think he was being sincere in the information that he provided to AWP. So we don't know for sure when her vehicle went in the water, but if it was, let's just say this, if it was in the water, say around August 6th, that evening, when they were doing all the searches, there's no way they could have missed it. It's just like Daniel said, her dad. When AWP told him where they found the vehicle, he was like, how the F did they miss that? Which I was thinking the same thing. There's no way they could have. There's just absolutely no way they could have. There's many people that were out there kayaking and doing stuff. Somebody would have found it. It would have been very, very visible. It was in 14 feet of water. However, you figure the bottom of the vehicle was, say the vehicle's like 5 feet high, whatever it is, the bottom of the vehicle would only been at 9 feet. Now, granted, the water level had dropped some by the time AWP was there. So, but still, it probably couldn't have been any further than, 17, 18 feet down. And I really don't think the water is going to water level is going to drop that drastically in a 2-week period between her be going missing when AWP found her. So I find it really hard to believe that they didn't see it. And like I said, from Lindsay's reaction, it makes me think that they knew right where it was. And knew that AWP was going to find it because it was so easily visible. I'm honestly surprised that what makes me think that it was put in at a later date was that as many people that are out there dinking around and kayaking and doing stuff on the water, I would find it in a 2-week period. I would find it very hard to believe that nobody had seen it during that time. Now, it wouldn't be as reflective if it was upside down. It wouldn't be quite as reflective as it would be if the vehicle was right side up, because that silver gray color would have been easily seen. And the bottom of the vehicle being upside down, the bottom of the vehicle being visible, wouldn't have been as easy to see, but it would still be easy to see if it was only 9 feet underwater. I mean, that's less than the depth of your deep end at the swimming pool, at least most places. Because the deep end at the swimming pool is usually around 10 feet, and some of them even 11, 12 feet. And you can see the bottom of the pool very easily, so anybody going over that area would have been able to see your vehicle. Now, the next thing is when they did find the vehicle, how many videos did you see where AWP found the vehicle and law enforcement let them stand there or even assist? They offered to assist. They would say, yeah, you guys bring it up. You guys are the experts. But instead, they told AWP to go elsewhere. So they couldn't even watch them. Though that in itself is suspicious to me. Why would you tell them, after they went down there and found a body in the vehicle, why would you tell AWP, get out of here, go to the other side, go somewhere else? So that's suspicious. Next, it's got to be the most stupid thing. They flipped the vehicle over underwater instead of bringing it out as it was. Normal procedure would be to bring that vehicle out as it was, upside down. Now, here's the problem with the sheriff being the coroner. If there had been an actual medical examiner, or let's put it this way, a reputable medical examiner on the scene, there is no way he would have allowed them to flip that vehicle. Because an autopsy has to be done. You want that body in as good a condition as you can get it. Flipping it upside down, it's just going to damage the body even more. Any fool would know that. A monkey would know that. So what do? They go in there and they flip the vehicle underwater and drag it out. That haphazard way of doing things makes me... And when they did that, I said from the very beginning, they're going to rule this an accident. They're not taking this seriously. They're going to rule it an accident. You could tell by the way they handled it. The haphazard way that they handled it. And, of course, I was right. But I knew that from the beginning, just from seeing them do that. I'm like, red flags. My old spidey sense went up. Yep, they're going to rule this an accident. I can tell by the way they're handling this. So they flipped the vehicle underwater, further damaging the body, plus a bunch of stuff flew out of the vehicle when they flipped it. Her laptop, we're assuming, unless it was planted, which really makes me wonder if it was, or at least one that looked like hers. But let's just say that it was hers. And when they flipped that, because you've got the driver's side window in front was rolled down. At first they said broken out, but Nick said he never saw any glass or anything that would make anybody think that it was broken. So it was rolled down, which is another suspicious thing. So they know that because that window's rolled down, the back driver's side window was halfway down. It's as far down as it will go. For I guess it's got one of those child safety mechanisms on it or whatever. It only goes down so far. So a kid can't go climbing out of the vehicle and land on the highway. But it's down far enough where things could fly out of the vehicle. They could fly out the driver's side front door, or the passenger side front door, front window, or the driver's side rear window. So they flip the vehicle over. All this stuff flies out of the vehicle. Until you completely rule out foul play, you treat the scene as a crime scene. That's law enforcement 101. That's 101. I mean, again, a monkey would know that. Yeah, so they do that, just totally messing up the whole thing, and plus breaking the chain of evidence, because it was Checkit that supposedly found all that stuff, very conveniently lined up in a straight row underwater. Hello. So they flip the vehicle, stuff flies out of it, and then, of course, they pull the vehicle out, and then they don't send anybody into the water to retrieve the evidence. That's just unbelievable to me. Until you finish investigating it is a crime scene, until you completely rule out foul play, which they did from the very beginning. We knew that what they were going to do. You could just tell. Oh, we can't allow there to be a homicide in this area. That might affect tourism. Oh, we got to call it an accident. Just like all these other people that ended up, like the one guy that was stabbed like 15 times and they called it suicide. Yeah. Anyway, they leave the evidence in the water. They don't send anybody back in to get it. That's just beyond my comprehension. How they just the haphazard way that they treated this. It's almost like they intentionally botched this thing. That's what it seemed like the whole time. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. There's a whole lot of us. In fact, probably the majority of us who believe there was foul play, but believe that it was intentionally botched. They either intentionally botched it, or they're the most incompetent bunch of doofuses I've ever seen in my life. So they don't even go after the evidence. They're going to know that stuff's going to fly out of the vehicle. They didn't wrap the windows. That's another thing. They didn't wrap the windows. They flipped the vehicle underwater without even wrapping the windows. I mean, how dumb is that? That's just, to me, it's either intentional or it's just absurd stupidity. Unbelievable. So they pull it out of the water. The body's already damaged further from them flipping it over. And it just, I don't know what else to say about it, to be honest with you. It's just crazy that the way they handled this whole thing. Well, then Nick goes to two different law enforcement agencies with the footage from his truck. Gives it to these two law enforcement agencies. These law enforcement agencies then turn around and say, what footage? It never existed. Nick goes to his supervisors there at the AAA. They're in Reno. They say, what footage? It never existed. You were never even at Boca that day. Although, on Nick's GPS, it shows him being exactly where he said he was. So why the 180? Why do you have the footage and then, of course, obviously the AAA agency acknowledged the footage because they gave him copies of it to give to law enforcement. Well, then after it was given to law enforcement obviously talked to AAA. I don't know if they threatened them. I would think that there was something. They either threatened them or they paid them off. One of the two. Or both. Keep your mouth shut. Here's $100,000 apiece. Because we know what goes on over there. We know that, and I don't know about Placer County for sure, but we know for sure that Nevada County is involved with the cartel, that they're running drugs out of the jail there in Nevada County, and that Shannon Moon and Mr. Brown, who's the head of the jail, are directly involved. And that comes from a source who I really can't say how this source knows without exposing this person, so I'm not going to. I'm just saying the information about Nevada County running drugs out of there is extremely valid and verified as much as we can verify it. It's not just some rumor. So they got money to work with. I don't know for sure. I wasn't told. They wouldn't tell me which two law enforcement agencies Nick went to, but I'm sure one of them was Nevada County. The other one, I'm assuming, is the FBI. The AAA agency was told to stand down. They ended up denying and saying Nick didn't even go on that call when it was obvious from his own GPS that he did. Now, why did they cover that up? Why did they not want people to know that Kiely was alive that next morning? Oh, and then we got fire cam footage that they came out with very conveniently right before they came out with the news release saying that Kiely's case had been ruled an accident. Right before that, they came out with this fire cam footage, which I still say proves nothing. There are people that believe it. Go ahead. You want to believe it? That's fine. I don't. I believe Kiely was alive that next morning. I don't believe she went in the water Friday night. No way, no how. So the fire cam footage basically means absolutely nothing. It's a lot of optical illusions. And if you go back and find my video that I did on that, there is 4 vehicles just in like a 7-minute span that did the same exact thing as the vehicle that was supposedly Kiely's. 4 different ones did the exact same thing. Go back and search my videos and watch it. I think I proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that there's nothing to this fire cam crap. But they come out with that, then ruled it an accident. Very conveniently. Right before the news release. They're pushing it. There's a reason that they're pushing it. They want this to be looked at as an accident. They want people to believe it's an accident. I will never believe it's an accident. Never. I know deep down it wasn't an accident. And I think a lot of you do too. We know. You don't drive into the lake from the back seat or from the cargo area. No. People say, oh, she was crawling back there trying to get away from the water. No. You got an open window. The passenger side front window is open. She was going to know that window was open. She's going to know that she crawls to the back. And even if you're panicked, you know that car is going to fill up with water. You take the most immediate exit that you can find, and that would be to go flying right out the front passenger window. No way do I believe it's an accident. Anyway, that's it for this video. It's already long enough, so we'll be covering some other stuff in subsequent videos. But I just want, like I said, I want to keep Kiely in everybody's thoughts. I want to keep Kiely to the forefront. I don't want to keep banging on the same thing over and over, but I've figured a review, and maybe I've added some additional thoughts I hadn't before in this. I don't know. But I just want everybody to know, especially the people over in Truckee, that we haven't given up on this. I mean, right now, like I said, it's not looking all that good as far as getting cooperation from people, but we just keep praying that justice will come for Kiely sooner or later. And we're not going to stop trying until it does. That's a promise. All right. We'll talk to you later, people.